Okay, so welcome back. In the last episode, we left off talking about credit card utilization and the importance of credit card utilization. In this video, we're going to continue on going over your credit report and the different factors that affect your credit report and credit scores. And we're going to go a little bit more into credit card utilization. As I mentioned before, credit card utilization can affect your credit score a minimum of 30%. So it's one of the big factors that affect your credit score. So if you're looking to be able to boost your credit score, you want to pay attention to what your utilization on your credit cards are. So let's take, for instance, you have 3 credit cards and you're carrying balances on each particular card. I mentioned in the last video that we want to make sure we're putting the minimum amount due on auto pay. That will make sure you prevent yourself from missing a payment. I actually ran into this situation when I had my Apple credit card. My Apple credit card is one that I didn't use that often. I was traveling when I was in Panama, and I used my Apple card to make a purchase because it was the only card that they were accepting. So I used my Apple card. Now, because I rarely use that card, I hadn't set that card up on auto pay. So what happened was I used that particular card. I was in vacation mode. When I got back home, I did not realize that I had that particular charge because it was statementless and it was going to my Yahoo account, which did not go into my regular inbox. So I missed that payment and I forgot all about it. Thankfully, I was able to call them up and they were able to give me a pass for that particular month. But that particular error dropped my credit score over 30%. So when I saw that, it was a red flag to me, and I got really nervous, to be quite honest with you, because I understand credit and I understand the importance of paying your bills on time. So when I did see that, I immediately got on the phone and started talking to who I had to talk to let them know and explain the situation and use some of my financial literacy credit repair tactics to be able to get it removed. But nonetheless, that could have really affected me because a late payment can affect your credit score for 7 years. So even though it may not hurt your credit score for 7 years, if it's on your credit report, when lenders look at it, they're going to have questions about it. So if you're trying to buy a house or something like that, they're going to say, can you explain why you have late payments on your credit report? We need explanations and you have to give it in writing. It's a pain in the butt. So putting all your credit cards on minimum auto pay is essentially important and will save you. The other thing that will save you, which we went over in the last video, is making your payment at least 3 days prior to the statement close date. I recommend you call your credit card companies and find out what your statement close date is for each particular card. Put it in your calendar so that you make a payment prior to that if you wanted to affect your credit score within that calendar month. Okay. Now, if you just make it on the payment due date, which is fine, you can make it on the payment due date, but it's not going to reflect for another billing cycle that you made that payment. So for about 30 days, almost 20 to 30 days, you're going to have a tank in your credit score because it did not report your payment on that particular cycle. So making sure you make it on the statement close date is going to make sure that the credit reporting agencies put it in the algorithm for when they're calculating your score right away. Okay, so that's very important. Now let's go back to the 3-card cycle. I learned this tactic and it has helped me tremendously. Make sure that you put your payments, your minimum payments, you spread them out. So if you have 4 cards, let's talk about 4 cards. If you have 4 cards, let's take 2 of your cards and let's make them due on the 5th of the month. And then the other 2 cards, have them due on the 20th of the month. So you can actually call your credit reporting, you can actually call your credit cards and have your due dates moved however you would like. Usually, credit card companies will allow you to do it at least once within a calendar year. So move those dates out so that you spread out your due dates, and then that will help your flow. That will help your money flow so that when these two are due, the other two aren't due, and you can be using those. And then you can cycle it. So you're using these two cards for these first 2 weeks. You're using the other two cards for the other 2 weeks. You're making your payments. If you get paid if you get paid bi-monthly, you can make your payment on one and then be using those until the next one's due. That will help your money flow. I recommend that to all of our clients to be able to help them be able to spread out their payments so that they don't have all 4 credit cards being due at the same time or all different times where they're not sure when their credit cards are due. Another good trick that I learned was you can take your credit cards and spread them out alphabetically. So if you have a Capital One or you have a Citi card, those are C, right? Capital One, C, Citi, C as well. I put those due in the beginning of the month. Then let's say you have a Wells Fargo credit card, and the other card you have is a, let's say, what are the other credit cards I have? Let's pull that out. So you have a Wells Fargo credit card, and you have a, let's see, a Chase Sapphire card. Well, that's also C, so we don't probably want to use that one. Come on, guys, help me think of another credit card that we can use where we can spread it out that's long. Let's say it's a PNC card, okay? So you have a Wells Fargo and you have a PNC card. We'll put those two due at the end, and then you put your Capital One and your Citi due at the beginning. So then in your head, you know, you can think of it, it's like, oh, it's the beginning of the month, that's my C cards, so those are going to be due. Oh, it's the 20th, that's my Wells Fargo, my PNC card, that's going to be due at the end. So having that strategy really helps you be able to organize it and be able to really get your money flow and your energy flow very, very smoothly so you can keep track of what's due when. Those are some good helpful hints that help me along my way as well. So now let's talk a little bit more about derogatories. In the next video, we're going to talk about derogatories and how that affects your credit report. We'll also go into age and how that affects your credit report on the next one. So follow us back in just a moment on part 3, and we'll go into and diving into that a little bit more. Okay, welcome back. So in this video, we're going to talk about another factor that affects your credit report, and that is going to be derogatory marks. Derogatory marks are marks from if you have a collection, if you have a judgment against you, like a bankruptcy, those affect your credit report as well. You really want to make sure you do not get any collections and you do not get any derogatories. We can go over some good helpful hints about collections. I want to inform you that I don't want you paying any collections until you understand everything that is in that collection, and knowing who is giving you that collection and making sure that they are legally able to handle that collection. Some of you may not know how to do that. I recommend you get in touch with our team so that we can guide you through the process. And if it's something that you need help with, we do offer the service to be able to help you, be either to dispute it, to get them to verify the information that they have is accurate, because that's very, very important. The FDCPA is the law governing, they set the laws governing the collections on your credit report. And these agencies have to follow their guidelines, and they have to make sure that they have 100% accuracy reporting on your credit report. And a lot of times, many clients do not have 100% accuracy on their credit reports. So we're able to dispute this and help them dispute these items to get them off their credit report. But collections, charge-offs, bankruptcies are things that you can fight and have them taken off your credit report if they are not operating legally and they are reporting information that is inaccurate, it's unverifiable, or it's untimely. So derogatory marks go on your credit report and they can stay on your report for 7 to 10 years. So it's very important to make sure that you do everything you can do to fight to be able to get that stuff off your credit report, and then also make sure you never get it on your credit report. Now, for a collection to get on your credit report, it usually happens after the 90-day late mark. So you're going to get a late payment for 30 days, you'll get a late payment for 60 days, you'll get a late payment for 90 days, and then after that, 120, and then it normally is turned over to the collection department or charge-off department. If you can get it before that happens and talk to them, talk to the credit reporting vendor, it's best to do that. If it happens to go that far and they sell your debt to a collections company, then we have to do some more fighting and making sure that all that information that they have is reporting accurately. Now, charge-offs and collections are a little different. We will do another discussion on charge-offs and collections, because a lot of times they put both of those on your credit report as reporting the same when they're different. So it's either going to be one, a charge-off, and that's where the company has wrote off the debt because they could not recoup the amount due. That's a charge-off. The other one is where they have sold the debt to a collections company, and that company has essentially taken on the debt and can try to come after you for obtaining that money that is owed. So there's two different distinctions between those, but those are derogatory marks that go on your credit report. Something to be very mindful of and making sure you stay away from them, as far away from as possible. But if you do run into that, I want to let you know it's not the end of the world. You have us here. We can help you with it, and we can fight through it together. We help our clients a lot of times get a lot of collections off their credit report. There's a lot of illegal things that are happening on your credit report that you just don't know. And these collections agencies operate very illegally, and they do whatever they can and use all kinds of different tactics that are just unhumane and horrible to the consumer. And so we don't want you to be in that situation. Do not negotiate with them over the phone. You're going to want to really make sure that everything is in writing, because if it's not in writing, it did not happen. They will tell you, oh yes, if you make this payment, we won't report it on your credit report, or it will be only this amount due. It has to be in writing. So we have instructions on how you handle that. So make sure, once again, you tap in with us so that we can give you the proper guidance on how to handle the collections department. And if it's something that you want us to help you with, we will actually fight hand in hand with you to make sure we get that off your credit report, or we negotiate to be able to get you in a better position. Okay? The other item that we want to talk about on your credit report that affects your credit score is the age of your credit. The age of your credit. So this is a very important factor as well. So if you apply for a lot of credit cards at once, you get approved for those, that is going to drop your age. Now, we want your average age to be over 5 years old. That will be the optimal amount that you want to be able to have on your credit report. So let's say, for instance, you have a credit card and you've had it for 10 years, but then you go and you get another credit card because they're offering a special, and you decide you want to apply for it, and you get approved. Now what happens is, now you've dropped your age to 5 years, and that's where you want to stay. Now, if you go get another credit card within that same year, you're going to drop your credit age under the 5 years, and now you're going to be dropping your credit score. Now you look a little more risky to the banks, and they may or may not qualify you for your credit card because your age is too low. And you look a little more risky, like you're looking for too much credit. So having too many new accounts open too soon is one factor that they will put for denying you for credit. So it's very important that you understand that as well. You can have a 700 plus credit score, but if you have too many new accounts on your credit report, that is one factor that will get you denied from being able to qualify. So please be mindful of the age on your credit. You can literally just look at how long you've had each card, add them up, divided by how many cards you have, and that will be your average age. Now, a helpful hint to being able to boost that age, this is a helpful hint that you can do. You can actually become an authorized user on someone else's card, a friend, family member, or someone you know, that can actually boost your credit age. So if they have a card that they've had for 10 plus years or 20 years, and you become an authorized user on their account, you now get to take on their positive age history, and that 2.5 years can be boosted back up to the 5-year mark by just doing that simple technique of using an authorized user, adding an authorized user, becoming an authorized user on someone else's account that has good age of their credit card. So if you know people who have good credit and they have good age on their credit cards, definitely want to make sure that they will help you with that technique. If it is something that you're getting ready to apply for, it can be very handy. If you're getting ready to apply for a new car, a new house, even if you're going for a new credit card, very important to understand your credit age. Okay. In the next video, we're going to talk about how many accounts you should have on your credit report, and we'll also go into hard inquiries. And the importance of hard inquiries. So stay tuned and follow us back for those.